Okay, the BuzzKillers are here with Dave Herman today, and I would like to do just a little disclaimer that before we pursued this, I did check it out with Margaret because, as people probably know, Dave was going to appear with her on the same day. But now he's here. Margaret gave her blessing, thinks the town deserves to know both selectmen, both candidates, so here we are, and we're going to get to know Dave Herman. Take it away, give us a little bit of your background, your qualifications, and why you wanted to be a selectman.
Okay, well, thank you, Kathy and Sandra. I appreciate you allowing me to be here. And I just wanted to wait a little while. You know, you guys were new to the process, so it was good to get some experience behind you, right?
Oh, you wanted the best video.
I want the best video,
I
right?
get it now, yeah.
So, you know, I've been on several committees in town, and I feel that, you know, this current election, leading up to it, nobody was taking the opportunity to pull out candidate papers right up until the very end, and that was myself included. I think like everybody else, we wanted to see what would happen. And it was getting down to the wire, and I was hearing things about, you know, oh, let's write in this candidate, let's write in that candidate. And I was like, this cannot happen. It's far too important of a position to have in just a writing candidate from who knows where, what their experiences might be. So that's what motivated me to go ahead and take out my selection nomination papers. And I've had a very good response. I did get all 96 signatures. I don't think anybody else had done that. I felt it was important. I mean, you're giving a task and you have available spacing. Why not take advantage of that? So I did, and I got all 96 signatures. As a matter of fact, when I was down at the clerk's office, they said, oh, we got as far as 51 and we stopped.
That's okay. Good.
So that's good. So a little bit about me. I've been in town for 12 years. I was the treasurer for the Cub Scout for 3 years. I'm on the Peter Fitzpatrick Feasibility Committee. I am on the 4th of July Committee for 3 years now. I've served with both you ladies. You know, and we did a lot of great things. Yeah. In addition to that, I'm on the Information Technology Committee. So I've got some history here in town, working on committees and knowing the community and, you know, forging those friendships and relationships and seeing really what's going on in the town and what needs to happen and what families are looking for, right? And how can we do things better, you know? And there's always a lot of people that'll speculate and this and that, but until you get involved, you really don't know.
That's right.
Right? You know, and you have to be willing to take that role, that leadership responsibility. Put yourself out there, for good or bad, you know, and do something that you think is important to make the community better, to make the town better, right? I love this town. It's great. You know, it's got a lot of character to it. My kids are in the schools here. My son's in the high school. He's a freshman. My daughter is over at the Nissitissit. You know, she will be going to the high school or maybe the trade school. We don't know.
So, the top issues. Now that the budget is a top issue, the town and the school. So how do you see the budget now, override versus no override? And like, what's your plan to bring in the revenues? Do you lean more towards staying rural or moving forward?
Well, you know, the budget is a tough item. Nobody wants higher taxes. None of us, right? You know, I've seen the increases in my own home as has everybody else. And we've seen our services decline. So we have to look objectively at the budget and see where the problem lies. You know, and the first glaring thing that we see, if you look at the overall budget, is how it's divided up. Right now, the school is 65% of our budget. Municipal funds are only 35%. How is that sustainable? And when the school comes back and asks for, you know, a 7.5% increase or whatever it might be, are they even looking at what each town generates for revenue? You know, ours is, you know, like a 1.34% annual increase. Well, how do you go from a 1% increase to a 7% cost in, you know, funds? There's no way it adds up. So I think, you know, we all have to be responsible. They have to understand where their funds come from. It comes from the taxes, both residential and business. The residents are burdened enough, right? So we have to figure creative ways to get this under control, get it more balanced so we can have the services that we need to save lives in this town, right? And the path we're on right now is not a good one. You know, I think the override is going to be a necessary evil. That's going to give us a 2 to 3 year window, maybe 4, to develop a plan to see how we can better structure the town to be successful, right? So we have to take that opportunity and maximize it. You know, whether it's, you know, we know the housing is a small incremental increase every year. So that's not going to help us. So, you know, we've got to look at other revenues, you know, getting some more businesses in here. Being a parent myself and talking to other parents through scouts and so forth, the same issues come up over and over again. You know, we both work late jobs. 6 o'clock comes, there's no time for dinner. Oh, well, all right, well, let's go grab something quick. Well, you can only go to Mariano so many times. You can only go to C&S so many times, you know. And there are available spaces here in town that could be developed further, right? And maybe we can get some more of those restaurants. We're never going to be a Nashua. We're not going to, you know, be DW Highway. Nobody wants it anyways, right? So if you're not going to generate that kind of revenue from those types of big box stores and those types of businesses, what's your next step, right? You've got to have a plan. You've got to think it through. What's the big picture? Right. How are we going to handle this? Yeah. Right? We've seen things grow exponentially over in Groton. They've got several new restaurants, right? Look at Townsend. They have a diversity of restaurants and shops. Why not us? Yeah. We are a gateway community to those communities. So why not capture that traffic flow? Why not capture those people as they're traveling to and from? We're a gateway to Nashua for those folks. And I think, like most people, well, I can go right over to Pepperell and get the same type of a meal, the same type of experience. Why would I sit in Nashua and all that traffic? You know? When I buy small things, if I'm not buying a big box item like a nice TV like we have behind us here, I'm going to Lorden's. I support them. I've bought chainsaws. I buy tools from them. I buy oil from them. Because my time is more valuable than sitting in traffic and traveling in half an hour in each direction and dealing with that and probably not finding what I want in the first place. You know? So I think, you know, everybody just goes to Nashua. Well, I don't think that's true. You know, everybody's time is valuable and our time has gotten so small. You know, there's so many activities that we do. Our kids require so many activities, right? So time is valuable. And to utilize resources in town, for me, is a much better use of my time than traveling abroad and sitting in my car.
That's true.
You know, so I don't buy that they'll just go to Nashua anyways. I don't buy it. Unless you're going out on your weekly shopping spree and buying several $100s worth of groceries, okay, I can see it. You're going to go to Market Basket. Why wouldn't you? I still do a fair amount of my shopping right in Donnellan's. You know? Services, like kids go to Dr. Blasky for their teeth, you know? We do stuff in town. We support the town. And that's the way it should be. Right? You know? It works to the benefit of those businesses and it benefits us. Because we're all under time management.
And whose job is it to go out and find businesses and help people develop businesses within town?
So, you know, I think it belongs to a lot of people, right? You know, we have to talk about zoning. We have to talk about the planning board, right? Because ultimately they approve new businesses, right? So it's part of them. It's maybe part town administrator taking a look at the overall picture of the town in conjunction with the selectmen, you know? If somebody doesn't take a leadership role, we're going to just continue doing what we're doing. You know, and if you look at our town, if you just take a step back and look at the way the town is laid out, do you see any planning that was ever involved in any of this? No. Somebody wanted to build this? Okay, build it. You know, you want to build this? Okay, build that.
7-Eleven, okay.
Right, you know, let's stick to, you know, Pogus Mall is a very good example of that.
Okay, now talking about the Pogus Mall, I think the issue, which someone pointed out to me, is the missing landlord. Is there a way to keep the landlords more accountable for how we want their businesses to look in town?
I don't, you know, to be honest, I really don't know the answer to that. You know, it requires looking into, you know, the permitting processes and things like that and what the regulations are. on how to keep that building full or whatever. So missing landlord, that probably is a semi-accurate description, from what I know, what I've been told is, he's a real estate owner, lives in Middleton, Massachusetts, has no ties to the town, bought the property fairly high, and he's just trying to recoup his money. But he has no vested interest in the town.
No.
And it's probably not his only property, so it's not high on his to-do list, He did some renovations to try and make it look good, just to get some more people in there. And I was over there recently, and I was noticing a lot of the stones that they put around the sidewalk level are falling off. So I'm concerned that maybe it was kind of a shoddy situation, and the place could deteriorate on us further. But, it would be nice that if we could find somebody local that would take ownership, because it is for sale. I believe it's listed for like $2 million, which is quite high for that property. But we have limited businesses in there. And if you listen to other people, we want a bakery. The fish shop there was excellent. And again, this is only hearsay, but, businesses get established and the rent goes up. And it drives them right out of business, because just looking for the dollar, not really caring about the overall impact to our town. Who wants to drive through a town and see a bunch of empty shops?
No, nobody does.
Nobody does, right? Because that turns into a reflection of the town.
Yep, exactly.
Right?
Right.
Or maybe it's people.
Right.
Maybe people don't want businesses in town.
Yeah. Right.
It projects those types of images, and it has to be addressed.
You're involved with a lot of young families. What do young families tell you they'd like to see in town?
One of the biggest things is probably a family-style restaurant. Mariano's is very nice.
Yeah.
People like it. It's a little, you look at the interior, it's very nice, it's very upscale. But if your kids want to go get some chicken nuggets, right, and you want to have a hot dog, where do you go? There isn't one.
No.
You could go get a burger, maybe something from from CNS or Pizza Pizzazz, maybe, but you're not going to really sit down there and spend some quality time. That's more of like, let's have something to eat and get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one of the biggest things is more family-oriented restaurants, And beyond that, if you talk to the dads like I do, the guys want to have a place to go, maybe sit and chat about scouts or whatever and have a drink and watch the Celtics game on the TV.
Yeah.
Short of the VFW, there isn't one.
No.
You could probably go to the Tea Cafe. They have a very nice TV, and they do serve drinks and stuff like that. But again, you almost get the feel of sitting in these establishments that you don't want to stay.
No.
Okay, let's eat and let's get out of
You
here.
don't want to bring your kids. Your kids
That's just, you don't really have that, let's hang out and have a nice time. Let's have a chat.
Yeah.
Like we're doing here.
Right.
This type of environment. We just hang out and enjoy it. So I think those things would be very, very successful.
So what's your first step towards that? What are you going to do if you're elected?
Well, you have to meet property owners. You have to find the background out, right? Why is it the way it is? Were they blocked? Was there an uproar? Oh, we don't want this.
Yeah.
We're a dry town or whatever it might be, right? So, okay, what was the problem? What was the cause and effect that got us to the point we're at?
Right.
And then you have to start addressing those issues, right? So you build up your history. Find out why things are the way they are. You can't just jump into a situation, oh, he's wrong. I heard this.
Yeah.
That doesn't serve anybody.
No.
There's two sides to every story. There's facts, and then there's just hearsay, right? And this town is full of hearsay. Okay, so let's get to the facts. Let's find out. Let's do some digging. Let's go back through those files. Okay, when was the last time somebody tried to develop that piece of real estate? Whether it's a shop, a store, a piece of land, whatever it might be. And let's find out why. And what can we do to change it? Do we have to have a change of attitude? Right? People have to decide what they want. Right? What's important to everybody, without really alienating the people that may not want it.
Right, that is a point, because we were just actually talking about this. I think the town maybe doesn't want to change. We want to stay rural. We want to stay small. Maybe the general consensus is they don't want a lot of new customers coming. They don't want a lot of traffic in town. So I think you're right, like a decision does have to be made town-wide. How do we want to look?
Right.
Do we want anything new, or do we just wanna stay the course?
Well, if they're satisfied with the way the town looks and operates, that's great, okay? We'll just sit back and we'll do this and we'll do nothing and we'll keep raising your taxes.
Right, keep
right?
getting override.
That's the other
We'll have
side.
more overrides, right?
Yep.
Because guess what? Everybody deserves a cost of living increase, right?
Mm-hmm,
Teachers, firemen,
mm-hmm.
town employees.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna get the money from? Doing what we're doing does not work,
No, property owners.
right? So if you need a 2% increase for, let's say, salaries, right? Your cost of living. Well, guess what? Next year, your taxes are going up 2%.
Mhm.
Because you want to keep doing what you're doing.
Right, you want to.
And I don't want to hear you complain about it,
No,
because that was the choice that you made.
mm-hmm.
There are consequences for decisions, right?
Yeah, right.
Yes, there are.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you want to leave downtown empty, looking empty and like a shambles, congratulations.
Yeah.
Will I be moving? Probably not, because my kids are invested in the schools and I'm invested in my kids.
Yeah.
So I'm staying.
So, in that, is an override the only way, or should it be the only way to balance a budget? Because I think this override is just to balance the budget. We're actually not getting anything new
Right.
with the budget.
Maintaining.
An override is reactionary, right? It's reactionary to a problem that was created long before.
Yep.
Okay? So, again, you have to go back and say, what happened and what led us to this point? Right? What decisions were made that were bad because we're in a bad spot? $900,000 deficit is a big, big problem. And it's going to be more next year and more the following year. It's not going to go away. And that all leads back to every year the cost of living, right? The increases. People get raises. They do good jobs. They deserve it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I
So
agree.
the problem's not going away.
No.
We have to address it. And if they want to stay status quo and just say, good enough. Well, county taxes going up next year, the year after that, the year after that, the year after that. Permanently.
Does there need to be more open conversation with the school before budget time? Is there a way to, and there might be, I don't know, to talk to the school, negotiate with the school for better outcomes before we reach this point? Before they have to
I
come
would
in
have to
at
think,
a 5 or 6 or a 7%. I mean, they
So I
have
don't
to
know-
cut.
I don't know the current structure of those meetings, whether it's strictly the town administrators from the 3 contributing towns,
Mhm.
or if it's the town administrators along with the selectmen. I really don't know. This has to be looked into, right?
And
you
the
know.
school committee's
Right,
involved in it, yeah.
Of course the school needs to come involved with it, and we have a very large dedicated school committee from this town.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're not getting the full picture. Maybe they don't fully understand.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, all these positions, including selectmen, are volunteer positions. We're not paid.
Right.
We all have jobs, we all have lives,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? We do the best we can.
Exactly.
But you have to create a structure in order to find out the resolution to these problems. So it probably would be a good idea to have selectmen along with the town administrators, meeting with the school boards,
They might.
Yeah.
let's resolve this year's budget, take a month or 2 off, and then get back at it and say, okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about next year. Because you know what, this wasn't very good. And let's see where we can all come together and do something that's sustainable for everybody.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, the school department gets their money from us.
Right.
We only have so much to give, and they have to understand that. Some of it's mandated by the state we have no control over,
Mhm.
right? But at the end of the day, we have X amount of dollars. And we can only spend so much. If I give you $100, you spend the $100,
That's it.
but Sandy wants 200 instead, just because
Yeah.
she thinks it's important.
Yeah.
What can you do?
No, I know.
Where do you think the $200 come from that you want?
Yeah.
Just because you want it?
Yeah, right.
Well, that's the kind of situation we're in. In that example, you're the school, she's the town.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the taxpayer. I'm giving you $100. Here you go.
That's it.
Pay for your police, your fire, everybody at the school, all of it. And she's saying, hey, I want 200.
We need it, yeah.
I need it, I want 200.
Yeah.
Well, I still only have 100.
That's it.
How can you do that?
You can.
You can't. And, that's the situation we're in. And that's just, black and white.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not a big mystery.
No.
And it's all, in the town records, and it's all in the meetings and the videos.
But you'll say you're for the override.
I think we have to.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
based on the information that's presented by our town administrator, Andrew McLean, who's been very good.
Yeah.
You know, I am impressed with him
So am I.
and the job he's doing.
Mhm.
You know, and I think if given the opportunity, which he deserves, we can do good things.
Mhm.
You know, and he's a no-nonsense person. Look, it is what it is.
Mhm.
This is where we're at. You want to go this way? Here's the ramifications. We do this, we may have an opportunity to turn things around. So, you know, I don't want, personally, I wouldn't want an override, no more than anybody else,
No.
but we have a problem.
Mhm.
All right, and it was something that has progressed year over year over year, and now it's gotten to the point where you have to act. You know, so is it going to hurt a lot of people? Sure will. You know, it's going to vary between people. Some people are really not going to afford it. You know, and there may be people that, you know, have to decide between a certain medication and paying their taxes. You know, that's the reality of it. We can't change that. It's difficult. Nobody wants it. But, you know, nobody wants a bankrupt town with streets full of holes.
Mhm.
And no firefighters to rescue you when something bad happens. Right? So it's a tough choice. But I think it's a necessary one. Based on the information we've seen and been given.
Yeah.
You know? So you know, it'll be up to us as a town to say, okay, let's stop the madness. Let's come up with a plan.
Mhm.
You know, and get this ship, stop it from sinking.
Mhm.
So as a selectman, just, are you gonna be an independent thinker or kind of follow the group think of the selectmen? If you know where I'm going with that.
Yes. You know, we have a body of 3 selectmen, right?
Mhm.
And it's the duty of the selectmen to make the best choice available to them based on the information given. And that requires them to do some research as well, right?
Mhm.
And you have to come to, you know, it's best if you come to a consensus. But not to say, oh, what do you want? What do you want? Okay, good enough, let's do this.
Right.
But guess what? Because that's why we're in the situation we're in, right?
Mhm.
You have to be an independent thinker. You have to think outside the box sometimes. You know, I've heard people say, you know, there's different things that we're not taking advantage of. Grant money for different entities in town. Well, why? You know, one of the funniest things I like to say is, oh, we've always done it this way,
Mhm.
right? But that doesn't mean you've been doing it right,
All right.
Good point.
right?
Yeah.
If you're not willing to listen, explore all options, hear both sides, we're going to keep doing what we're doing.
Mhm.
And that's not a good thing. So I'm an independent thinker. I like facts. Tell me why.
Right.
You know, just say, don't tell me nobody wants it. And that's the way it's going to be. No, I don't believe that. You know, there may be 20 people that don't want it. But guess what? Everybody else does. And not everybody's vocal. You know?
Mhm.
It takes a certain type of person to sit out there. Put your face to a subject. Take responsibility.
Mhm.
You know? It's far different than the person sitting behind the keyboard typing their little stories,
That is true.
right? So, I'm not that person. I'm here with you today,
You are.
you know,
That's good.
of my own accord,
Yes.
you know?
So the Peter Fitz feasibility committee that
Mhm.
you're on,
Yes.
when will they present their findings to the selectmen?
We have some preliminary findings that we're going to submit coming up very shortly. We're kind of trying to work out the dates. We're doing some fine tuning to that presentation. So very shortly, there is going to be a little presentation at town meeting as well.
Oh, okay.
So to give information to everybody.
Mhm.
We've had 2 charrettes where we invited the public to come to the school, sit in the auditorium and see. And it was fairly well intended. You know, we probably had 40 or 50 people of a town of 12,000. A little sad.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to have an opinion, but they don't want to find the information out.
Mm. Right.
So that's actually why we do this, so people can get their information.
Yeah.
Now,
Facts.
as you know, when people work, like you said, they have kids, they can't always make committee meetings or really any
Or
meeting.
even watch them
So
on
when I go to the
demand.
poll or when we go to vote, we elect the best people we think to get the job done.
Mhm.
And I think to expect anything probably larger than 40 or 50 of the townspeople to attend is a lot.
Mm.
But as an elected official, we want you to do the best job you can. I mean, I think,
Yeah, and that's my intent. You know, I want to do the best job I can. Based on my experiences, you know, I've been in business. I've run projects for Leahy Clinic for their Epic deployment.
Mhm.
So I've been on large scale, very high dollar, high profile projects and ran them successfully.
Mhm.
You know, I'm self-employed as a not self-employed, but I have a disc jockey business. Been a DJ for over 30 years. You know, it takes a certain level of skill and personal interaction to run that type of a business. I owned my own construction company for a very short time.
Oh.
You know, so I've got a very diverse background, from construction to IT to entertainment.
Mm.
You know, I understand, you know, business concepts,
Yeah.
business models, and what it takes to get things done. And I think that's what separates me from the other candidate, Margaret Scarsdale, who's a very nice woman, by the way.
Yes, same.
You know, I have that varied background and those experiences that are going to make a difference.
Mhm.
You know, it's a nice thing to be on committees and to be active in your community.
Right.
But at the end of the day,
Can you get something done?
can you get something done?
Mhm.
You know, and do you know how to look at a bigger picture and involve those? Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
But my background speaks to that.
It does.
so when a citizen comes to you to get on a committee, will you be looking more at their qualifications, their opinions, their views? Like, how are you gonna appoint people to committees?
Well, you know, I think we have to applaud anybody
Right.
that wants to volunteer.
Mhm.
It can be a very thankless job, as we have seen in the past, right?
Mhm.
You make one mistake, everybody's on you, right? All of a sudden you become, you know,
Yeah.
the target on
Yeah.
Facebook,
Yeah.
right? So, first we have to applaud anybody that is willing to step up and say, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to give you my time away from my family, my commitments, to help everybody,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So, first we have to thank them, because it's important,
Yes.
right? It's not something that should be taken lightly. Then from there, you know, you have to look at the qualifications, you know? That's important too, because it's all about outcomes. That's why we have committees, right? We want to present the best outcome we have. So you have to, you know, that's where you have to look. And I think anything beyond that, that would be up to that committee, you know? But as a select person, you know, our job is, you know, is this person qualified? And if they are, then okay, put them on the board and let somebody else deal about the politics of the position and the outcomes.
Mhm.
Because the selectmen can't sit on every board. They can't be responsible for every board. That's why we have committees, right? To spread the burden, to spread out and get other people involved, get differences of opinions, to get the best information we can and formulate the best outcome.
Do you have any more questions? I just have two more.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna give you the chance to, first let's do payroll, because the thing that was tabled that is actually waiting for the new selectmen is whether or not to go forward with investigating how our payroll was done
Or
at
the
town
audit,
hall.
yeah.
So yeah, are you in favor of going forward with investigating how the payroll is done? Do you need to know more? What's your position on that?
So, this is the first I've heard about the payroll being investigated, okay? Maybe I've just missed it, I don't know.
Or overviewed, or maybe
Audited.
Audited.
I wanna audit it.
audited? Whether we're
Audits are
doing it
always a very good
appropriately.
thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, I think that we absolutely should do an audit. Why not? When was the last time one was done? You
And
know,
on our payroll, I don't think it's ever been done. I think when they have, our payrolls always come out like pristine. There's
Yeah.
actually been no questions
problems.
until recently of how our payroll was done. And
okay.
exempt employees, they work totally
Yeah, they're different.
different, yep.
Right.
And
But
does
that's
it
why we have, you know, finance committees, right?
Mhm.
People that are subject matter experts in those things. And, you know, so I think that would be a good idea. Why not?
Okay.
You know, let's look at it, and if it's, everything's on the up and up, and it was, best practices were followed, you know, congratulations, now we all have positive, factual information, right?
Mhm.
So I don't see a problem with that. Why not? Why wouldn't we? We just wanna take somebody's word at it, that it's been done right, you know?
And finally, you get to kill the buzz on Delta Dog. What exactly was your position on Delta Dog? Was it location? Was it the dogs? Here's your chance. Kill the buzz.
Well, being in a butter, we were presented with the opportunity to speak. I had concerns as a pet owner in understanding dogs, such as you do. So I had questions, and I raised those questions. And ultimately, they were granted the permit. And once they were granted that permit, that was the end of my discussion. I presented those, and they decided to move on. That's up to them. That's really it. There's nothing more to say. I exercised my right as an abutter to pose questions. And I did that. Did I think it was a good idea? No, not really. I think it could have been better suited somewhere else. I am not against Operation Delta Dog. They're providing a great service. And I've always said that. I'm not against what you're doing. I just didn't think it was proper there. Voiced my concerns. They were granted a permit. End of discussion. There's nothing really more that needs to be said. We are all entitled to our rights of opinions, right? And I did that. And I shouldn't be chastised for it, right?
Right.
I have no problem with anyone coming forward with their opinions. Just stick with your opinions, stick with your beliefs, and that's it. That's it.
You were.
Yep. And so we'll end with that. What is your mission statement for Pepperell? What's your vision, your mission?
Well, as I say on my flyer, I'm looking to the future, right? Let's look down the road. How can we do things better? And I want to make this a great place to be. Not that it already isn't, but I think we could do better. And the override is proof that we could do better. So I want to do better, and I'm looking to the future.
Good. Any more?
No, thank you.
Well, no,
I
thank
appreciate
you for coming.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you very much, Kathy.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you.